Dear students, welcome back to Basic English Grammar Part 8. I hope you are safe at home. In the previous sessions, we were discussing about phrase and its types. And today onwards, we will be dealing with the concept of clause and its types. Friends, in today's session particularly, we will discuss what is a clause and its two major divisions. I hope you enjoy learning with me. Let's begin. What is a clause? We have already got a clear idea of a clause, and we came to know that how phrase and clause are different. Phrase is just a group of words that does not have a subject and verb of its own, so that it neither stands alone nor conveys a complete meaning. Friends, it's a part of our previous knowledge. Now let's see what is a clause. A clause, though a group of words, it has a subject and verb of its own, so that it stands alone and produces a complete meaning. See the difference between a phrase and clause. Phrase is a group of words, clause is also a group of words. But a phrase has no subject and verb of its own, but a clause has a subject and verb of its own. A phrase cannot stand alone because it cannot convey proper meaning, but a clause can stand alone because it conveys a proper meaning. Dear friends, see the chart displayed on the screen. This is a classification of a clause. A clause is mainly divided into two: dependent clause and independent clause. A dependent clause is further branched into adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause. So today we will discuss about independent clause and dependent clause only. The further classifications of dependent clause will be handled in coming sessions. Friends, look at the definition of an independent clause. An independent clause is also known as main clause. It has a subject and verb of its own. It can stand alone so that it expresses a complete thought. Dear friends, 3 points are important in connection with a main clause or an independent clause. The first one, it has a subject and verb of its own. Second one, it stands alone. And the third one, it conveys a complete thought. Look at the 3 examples given here. The first one, Stefan carried the ball to his sister. Then Elizabeth cried. The third one, they smiled. All these sentences carry a subject and a predicate of their own. They produce complete meaning because they stand alone as a sentence. Dear friends, in the first sentence, Stefan carried the ball to his sister. There is a subject, there is Stefan, and carry the ball to his sister is part of predicate. Predicate means verb plus subject. In the second sentence, Elizabeth is a subject and cried is a verb. That sentence is meaningful because it is complete in itself. And the third one, they smiled. Here they is a subject and smiled is a verb, and that sentence is complete and it can stand alone. We can go through some more examples. The first one, the secret of life is honesty. It is an independent clause because this sentence contains a subject and predicate of its own. The secret of life, that is a subject, is honesty is the predicate. The sentence is complete in itself because it stands alone. Look at the second example, the doorbell rang. This is an independent clause because this clause has a subject and verb of its own. The doorbell is a subject and rang is the verb. In the third example, she smiled down on the children. There is a subject and a predicate. She is a subject, smile down on the children is a predicate. The sentence is meaningful in itself because it stands alone. Look at the fourth example. The turkey was hot and juicy. Here the turkey is a subject and was hot and juicy is part of predicate. So we can conclude in all these sentences there is a subject and predicate. These sentences can stand alone because they are complete in itself. So these are examples of an independent clause. My dear friends, let me summarize the idea of an independent clause. An independent clause is a group of words and it has a subject and verb of its own. It expresses a complete meaning because it can stand alone as a sentence by itself. Dear friends, now we are moving to a dependent clause. A dependent clause is sometimes called subordinate clause or non-essential clause or non-restrictive clause. The major characteristic of a dependent clause is that, as its name suggests, it cannot stand alone. That means it needs the support of the main clause to express a complete meaning. My dear friends, note down the main point here. A dependent clause, even though it has a subject and verb of its own, it cannot stand alone so that it doesn't express a complete thought or meaning. It always needs the support and help of a main clause. Dear friends, let's go through some examples of a dependent clause. 3 examples are given here. The first one, because the door was open. Second one, when it started raining. The third one, until your father gets home. In all these sentences, there is a subject and predicate. But unlike an independent clause, these sentences or clauses cannot stand alone. Because when we read out these sentences, we miss something. And what we miss in all these sentences is the presence of an independent clause or main clause. In the first example, because the door was open, the door is a subject and was open is a predicate part. Even though that sentence has a subject and predicate of its own, this sentence cannot stand alone and it cannot convey a proper meaning because it needs the help of a main clause. Second sentence, when it started raining, here subject is it and started raining is the predicate part. Even though that sentence has a subject and predicate, the sentence is not meaningful itself because it demands the help of a main clause. In the last example, until your father gets home, here your father is subject and gets home is the predicate part. Even though that sentence has a subject and predicate, this sentence also cannot stand alone because it demands the help of a main clause. Now let's see how independent and dependent clauses are connected in some sentences. Look at the examples given here. The first one, as he plays hockey, as he enjoys it. In this sentence, the first part is known as independent clause, the second part is known as dependent clause. Both the clauses have their own subject and predicate, but only the independent clause is meaningful in itself and can stand alone. Dependent clause, even though there is a subject and predicate, it is not meaningful in itself. It needs the help of the independent clause. Second example, Shazia could not catch the bus because she was late. So in the second example also, dependent clause as a subject and predicate of its own, but it needs the help of the independent clause, that is Shazia could not catch the bus. The third example, Ali could not finish the mathematics test although he knew all the sums. Here, the dependent clause is although he knew all the sums, that needs the help of the main clause, that is Ali could not finish the mathematics test to get a complete meaning. In the fourth example, Arifa quickly ate her lunch as she was very hungry. In this sentence, the second part is dependent clause as she was very hungry, that is connected to the first part. Arifa quickly ate her lunch. Next example, Harris is back from work so he must take rest. Here the first part is independent clause, that is Harris is back from work, that is complete in itself and that can stand alone, but the dependent clause part cannot stand alone and it needs the help of the independent clause. Last example, you must work hard if you want to succeed in life. You must work hard is independent clause that can stand alone and that sentence has a subject and predicate of its own. Dependent clause, if you want to succeed in life, even though that has a subject and predicate of its own, it cannot stand alone. It needs the help of the independent clause, that is you must work hard. My dear friends, this is the time to conclude what we learned today. A clause is a group of words like a phrase, but unlike the phrase, it makes a complete sense. A clause contains a subject and predicate, which a phrase does not contain. A clause can stand alone, but a phrase cannot stand alone. A clause has two major divisions, dependent clause and independent clause. A dependent clause is a group of words that contain a subject and a predicate but doesn't express a complete idea, whereas an independent clause is a group of words that contain a subject and predicate and expresses a complete idea. Dear friends, I hope you enjoyed today's session. Let's call for the day. Goodbye. See you soon.